Okay, so this question is, I believe, from a mother who says, how do we speak to teenage boys about taboo matters if we are unsure that they are aware of it yet?
Okay, I think that's a really beautiful question. And I think that really what I would advise the parents when it comes to these kind of sensitive matters is look at how the Quran and the Sunnah deals with it. You know, the Quran and the Sunnah deal with marital intimacy. In the Quran, the topic comes up more than once. And yet nobody ever, blushes reading the Quran. Nobody ever feels embarrassed reading the Quran because honestly, it's so beautiful, the language that is used, the way that things are explained, the way that there's a balance between information that you need and also appropriate language which is understood by people of a particular age and a particular state of maturity and maybe not understood by those who are a little bit younger and so on. And likewise in the Sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, I think that if you're talking about teenagers, honestly as a parent, I think you should presume that your teenager is exposed to this kind of information. It's becoming sadly younger and younger that our children are being exposed to kind of information that really should be sort of maybe restricted to people who are a little bit older and more mature. But I would say that the language of the Quran, there's all this stuff about them teaching things in school to young kids, 5 years old and 6 years old and 7 years old. But if people were to just look at the Quran, the Quran is something that the language and the way that things are put across are so beautiful and so respectful and so well said. And there is no one greater than and better than Allah in speech. That honestly, if a person were to follow the Islamic etiquettes of teaching their children like that, there wouldn't be any embarrassment for them or for their children. And also, to take it from a fiqh perspective and an age-appropriate fiqh perspective. So, for example, you can start by talking about, like, let's say, ghusl. What ghusl is only washing yourself, what is ghusl? What are the conditions for ghusl? Now, again, ghusl as a basic action can be taught to a very young child, how to shower yourself and how to clean yourself, and that's fine. When the child gets a little older, a little nearer to puberty, you need to teach them the reason why you need to make ghusl in terms of things like that might happen at night, or for a young girl, the onset of menses and things like that. And that would be something that at the right age is very easy for them to understand. Okay, yeah, I understand. Again, they may not understand the full implications of what that means or the full details behind it, but they kind of get, I get what you're talking about. I get that this something might happen to me. It's something normal and natural. And I get that that's a reason why I have to make ghusl. And then as they get older and they get nearer to kind of marriageable age, you start talking about interactions between men and women, and so, but always you're trying to preempt the age at which it becomes obligatory. And why I say that is if you look at the salah, the prayer, when do we teach our children to pray? The Prophet ﷺ said to command them to pray from 7 and to discipline them from 10. When is the age the child actually has to pray? Let's just say an average age, boys and girls, let's put in an average age of 14 as puberty, like as an average age, 14, just as just a marker, right? 14 years old. And yet since the age of 7, they've been learning how to do that. So again, I would say that if somebody is at the age where they're thinking about the opposite gender, let's say 14, 15, start thinking about the opposite gender, attracted to the opposite gender, wouldn't it be better that they know many of the rules and regulations in Islam, even if they don't appreciate the reason behind them, or they maybe don't appreciate the full implications of them earlier than that? And bearing in mind that TV and social media and schools and friends are giving them that information way, way earlier than that. So give them an Islamic framework. Otherwise, they're going to get that information elsewhere. And that's not, Islam is the only way to teach that in a way that doesn't lead your child astray. So I would say keep it, we sat in the masjid, I remember sitting in the masjid of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, studying the matters, like openly the teacher is given a public speech about matters of marital intimacy, for example. And we sat in the masjid and nobody feels embarrassed, nobody is shy, everyone's writing notes and studying carefully because it's presented in a beautiful way, in a way that's the language is appropriate and in an age appropriate way. So I feel that Islam has all the answers you need in that. You just need to go yourself and look at them. And on that, I would highly recommend the books of Muhammad al-Jibali, Hafidhullah Ta'ala, Shafahullah wa Afah. The Sheikh, he's written some fantastic books on marriage, on other issues related to that. I think he has one on menses also. Very, very well. He presents all the evidences from the Quran and from the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. So it's a really good resource to just grab the books and as a parent go through them and then choose what is right for my child right now. But if you're in doubt about where your child is right now, err on the side of them knowing rather than them not knowing, if that makes sense.
That's interesting.